Hello, you're watching Telecom TV from the TIP Summit at the Fyuz 2022 event here in Madrid. Now, I'm joined today by Deutsche Telekom and Mavenir, and to my left, Kai Hänsge, who is the Services and Platform DevOps Engineer at Deutsche Telekom, and Farhang Armin, who is Chief Solutions Architect at Mavenir. Welcome to both of you. Now, we're going to be talking about Mavenir's delivery of 5G SA core to Deutsche Telekom. So, first of all, I'd like to ask Kai, what does it actually mean to Deutsche Telekom to implement a fully open network?
The fully open network actually allows us to disaggregate the overall architecture, the overall network, and this helps us definitely to achieve more and to have bigger insights and better insights into the system. And to have that, we break up the silo approaches at all, meaning from this one big block in the middle to an open and integrated system where we have the deep insights, where we can steer the stuff properly to our needs as a Deutsche Telekom perspective. And Mavenir is doing a great job on that to achieve our goals, and we do it also in a collaborative way. So meaning that we use in a collaborative and tight agreed way to configure, to manage, to software updates and so on in that way, so that we are able to bring things quicker into the system, quicker into the production cycles and so on. And for that, we have this openness also in the way of how the stuff is configured, how the stuff is deployed. And for that, we don't use a so-called big monolithic orchestrator. We go for a kind of a GitOps approach. And this helps us to either document the stuff, also to steer a bit the conversation on, is this necessary? Do we need to change here and that? And everything is, the documentation itself is the configuration and the deployments. And this gives us a very confident view right now to driving the cloud native principles forward.
Well, we're going to talk about GitOps a little bit later, but first of all, can I ask you what role the core plays in enabling a 5G standalone network that has an open architecture approach?
So the openness gives us the hint, and also then the architectural changes definitely on that. So we go for this aggregation, meaning we have microservices, which also creates a little bit of complexity in the overall system, but this allows also emerging into new systems, into new markets, meaning when we go for standalone on the 5G level, for example, network slicing is a big topic right now. There we can steer on a software base where are the resources shared and how they are shared, go into private networks to deploy them easily, and for that it helps us to break up the rules and go for this aggregation. And for that, the architectural ways are changing. Also, where we are deploying it. We are going for edge deployments, not only having a handful of locations where we deploy the stuff. It could be kind of everywhere close to the customer. And for that, it's not only, let's say, an opportunity, but also challenges for us right now. So this model needs to be in a way to handle it as a paradigm shift as well. Right now, please provide is not anymore the focus. We go in the direction of having this strong collaboration, and it also helps us now to think about how does an end-to-end service look like? How do we monitor these things? How to get the overall metrics, loggings, all these information sets out of the system into a common place and verify the stuff then. And for that we use, in the best case, cloud native principles and standardized principles for that to achieve those goals.
Frank, perhaps we could talk about GitOps for a moment. And Mavenir has done a special adaptation, hasn't it, of its 5G SA core that will allow it to run on GitOps rather than the 3GPP standard.
So taking configuration management as an example, traditionally the network functions in a network, they receive their application data or configuration data from an element management system through protocols like netconf. Mavenir's network functions, being truly cloud native and decomposed into microservices, each having its own configuration data, has enabled us to exploit the capabilities that are offered by Kubernetes to run to simplify the required adaptation to run on GitOps. So, for example, or to start with, Kubernetes defines an object known as config map, which is a dictionary of all the configuration data that an application requires. When any changes are applied through Git, the development or the deployment tools would apply these changes in the config map, but that does not necessarily mean that these configuration values or the new values are reflected in the application. Mavenir has developed a mechanism within its application to continuously monitor any config changes within the config map or the configuration file stored within the application, so that once there are new values, it would be reflected directly into the application. Having this mechanism in place allows our applications to run and apply these new changes with zero downtime.
Okay, thanks for explaining that, Farhang. And in driving the adoption of open networks, can you tell us more about some of the engagements that Mavenir is involved with in the EMEA region?
Sure. So currently we are engaged in the I14Y Lab Plugfest, which is currently taking place in Berlin. And we are participating with our OpenBeam Massive MIMO radio to test it against the ORU functionality test cases, which are actually defined by TIP. Moreover, we are working closely with our partners in the ecosystem with several customers to test and deploy Open RAN and Massive MIMO solutions, including Deutsche Telekom, Zain Kuwait, STC Saudi, and Orange France.
Now, we're at the TIP Summit, so I'd like to ask both of you, and Kai, I'll start with you. Why is Deutsche Telekom a TIP member, an active TIP member as well?
Active TIP member. So I'm coming from the core perspective, but generally speaking, it's good to have those collaborations, definitely, to share the thoughts, to share the problems, the features which will come, to share also the challenges upcoming. And what I've heard, for example, yesterday was about energy efficiency, which will be one major step forward to achieve such goals. And it's good to get the knowledge and to share the information among the vendors, and also having strong collaborations with the vendors and the operators from different countries. And also, so that's quite good to have that.
And the same for Mavenir. Why is Mavenir a TIP member?
Well, having the open interfaces across suppliers in a wide ecosystem introduces the challenges of integration and interoperability. For us, TIP acts as an enabler to harmonize all the different testing and integration activities to lower the barriers and fulfill the promises of the openness by the ecosystem.
I'd like to focus on one aspect of TIP's work, and that's the test and validation framework. Farhang, first of all, how have you used this to help you with Mavenir's product development?
Well, I mean, the test and validation framework offered by TIP allows us the unique opportunity to collaborate with service providers globally and have a better understanding of the market requirements, which is then reflected directly into our feature development. This enables us to approach customers having already their requirements being developed, validated, and certified by TIP.
And Kai, the same question really, or a similar question. Does Deutsche Telekom utilize TIP's test and validation framework to help with product selection?
It might be, yes. So the good thing is to get an understanding on what we can expect from the products, what we can expect from the software components, in which technology readiness level they are in the end, what we can achieve, meaning is it just a lab trial, something fancy to check out, or is it something we can drive forward towards a production cycle, which helps us a bit to figure out in which direction we'll go. And in the best case, if such certifications are there, we can also expect a shorter time to improve and integrate things into whatever, for example, a product cycle.
Good to hear. Well, you've both spoken about ecosystem and the community, but I'd like to know what you got out of attending Fyuz, because we're back in person. Can I ask you, Kai, first of all, what have you gained most from being here at Fyuz?
A lot of talks I heard, so this is quite interesting for me. From a coordinate perspective, it's a little bit more new for me as well, but to see, let's say, what others are doing and how to make the features on the RAN side most probably also better, and what can we might expect in future. and certain technologies on that. So this is something really I was looking into, and can also, let's say, report on that internally.
And Farhang, what have you gained most from being here at Fyuz?
Well, I mean, for me, it was an opportunity to learn that O-RAN is all over. So it's not only in the US or in Europe, but it's all over the world. It's in Asia. There's special focus in the Middle East and also in Asia. And of course, getting to personally get to know the partners from the ecosystem, listening to the customer, to our customer requirements and needs, and where are we going with RIC and the automation and all the promises that O-RAN delivers. And of course, as Kai said, so it was an opportunity for us to learn where the ecosystem is taking us and how can we be better prepared for the upcoming activities and the next stage of O-RAN.
Well, final question then, it links directly to what you just said. You know, Kai, what's next for Deutsche Telekom in its open and disaggregation journey?
Exactly, so to drive that automation forward, and the automation at all is one key aspect. So this is something we really look into. Besides that, the feature set of the 5GSA should be broader, meaning we integrate new network functions, we expose differently internally to have analytics to achieve more out of what we are deploying. And on a feature level, network slicing is the hot topic for now. Also private networks to deploy it where a customer is needed it on a business level, and also maybe on a private level. Let's see where we can what we can achieve. And let's say also from a short-term perspective, integration of voice over new radio, meaning that we have in the end a proper 5G, let's say, feature set for the customers.
That's great. Well, Kai and Farhang, thank you both very much for talking with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.